Welcome, readers. Today on Book Chat, joining me is my Buddy Reads co-host, Classy Green. We'll be discussing the audiobook version of thriller title The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, I am your host, Tamara Ford, and thank you for downloading this month's Buddy Read discussion here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. If you're new here, every week we get bookish with roundtable book discussions, 5-minute shelf bites, interviews, and more. If you're wondering, what is a Buddy Read? This is a feature where Classy and I select a standalone title that we are both interested in. Then we have a candid conversation about the book or audiobook. We even discuss the title in our Facebook group, Shelf Addiction Official, during a live chat. Actually, the live chat takes place before this airs. So grab a glass of wine, a cocktail, cup of tea, or coffee, or whatever your drink of choice is, and settle in for this fun discussion. As always with book chats, there's a spoiler alert in effect. You have been warned. You don't want to miss our movie adaptation fantasy casting toward the end of the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please support this podcast by sharing it with one book nerd friend or on your favorite social media space. That would really help me out, and I appreciate you. If you missed the update, then you'll want to know that the uncut video version of this podcast is available on Patreon. Join us there for exclusive videos. You can find both me and Classy on Instagram and Twitter. If you've read the book or listened to the audiobook and would like to contribute to this conversation, be sure to join the Shelf Addiction Official Facebook group. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this discussion, and the links for everything I've mentioned are below in the show notes. We are going to jump right on in. Joining me is the Buddy Read feature co-host, Classy Green. Welcome back, Classy.
Hi, Tamara. Hi, friends.
Hey. So today we are discussing the audiobook version of The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. It is narrated by Jack Hawkins and Louise Braille. The length is 8 hours and 42 minutes, and it was published by Celadon Books and Macmillan Audio, respectively, on February 5th, 2019. Okay, so before we get started, Classy, you go ahead and share the synopsis with us, please.
Okay, I am reading the synopsis from Goodreads, and it states, Alicia Berenson's life is seemingly perfect, a famous painter married to an in-demand fashion photographer. She lives in a grand house with big windows overlooking a park in one of London's most desirable areas. One evening, her husband Gabriel returns home late from a fashion shoot, and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another word. Alicia's refusal to talk or give any kind of explanation turns a domestic tragedy into something far grander, a mystery that captures the public imagination and casts Alicia into notoriety. The price of her art skyrockets, and she, the silent patient, is hidden away from the tabloids and spotlight at the Grove, a secure forensic unit in North London. Theo Faber is a criminal psychotherapist who has waited a long time for the opportunity to work with Alicia. His determination to get her to talk and unravel the mystery of why she shot her husband takes him down a twisting path into his own motivations, a search for the truth that threatens to consume him.
All right. Oof. Okay.
I know.
Okay. Well, first, let me just say, and before we dive in, I do just want to put this out there, because before you start hearing me complain for 20 minutes or whatever this might be, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to come out because I just finished it today.
Okay.
So, but my first instinct was that I was disappointed with the book overall, based upon all of these amazing reviews and all of the praise and everything. I was not feeling it like that. It wasn't bad. Put that out there. I'm not going to say it's bad, but it just wasn't, the best thing in 2019 was this book, like everyone else was saying.
Yeah. The surprise at the end or the twist or whatever, I was like, okay. As you stated, I was not terribly surprised, and I wasn't like, really, because we've read several books like this and we are like texting away, how far are you? Did you? And I think all I said was I knew it or I had an idea and that was it. And
Mhm.
I think that was our only text really.
Yeah.
And we usually kind of have some kind of little chat in between. And this
Mm-mm.
was nothing like we've had before.
I think my problem with it began with how long it took for things to get started.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, for me, it took like honestly, it was like 55% before things started moving. And in this new world of what I have set for myself for reading standards, I would have given up on
Ah,
that. I would have
right.
I would quit.
Yep. Yeah. I was thinking the same thing and I'm like, but this is a buddy read.
Yes, I won't do it for this. This is the exception. The podcast, if I commit to reading it or listening, I will do it.
Right.
But if this was just something I picked up on my own, I would have been like, "Whoops, not for me," and I would have
Yeah.
stopped.
Yeah. It was dragging ass. It was. I
Hmm.
will say that. And I think I mentioned that to you too, that I kind of knew it was going to drag. Um, with it having that title of the silent patient. So I realized there was going to be some lag because she's not talking. So someone else has to talk for her, or someone else has to tell her story, or we're going to hear her story in, another point of view. So I knew it was going to drag, but not that much. Um,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, okay, so we knew because she wasn't speaking, it would take some time to set up. And I was prepared for that, but I still, okay. And was it just me? Now, it might have been because it was audio or maybe not seeing it on the page, but I felt like it switched between first and third person, like in the middle of a paragraph. Like
it did.
and I'm like, what is going on? Like, why
It
is
did.
couldn't
Because
stand
I'm
it?
like, all of a sudden, it was almost like when you're listening, you're like, I'm sorry. Well, okay, we're on video now,
Yeah.
but you know what? You'd be like, wait, did somebody else just somebody else just talking to me?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it I did notice that a couple times, I think with Theo. Yeah, Theo and her story. There
Yes.
were a few times where it would flip, or Theo and Kathy, his wife. But yeah, there were a few times where they would switch. So um, now that we're talking about that, I do think there could have been some more editing. I
Hmm.
do agree with that there could have been some editing things, because I did find a few little holes in the story. I wish I would have written them down, but I did find a few holes.
Hmm.
Can't remember what. I think Casey calls them something else.
Plot holes.
Plot hole. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, I did find a couple of plot holes. So I was wondering if you were going to notice those as well.
I feel like there were, but I couldn't call them out because I didn't write them down. But I did catch myself saying a few times, what does that have to do with anything? Or whatever happened to, this or that? And specifically the secondary storyline, Theo's storyline with his wife, it took forever for that to come together. And I couldn't figure out, why are we hearing about this guy's crazy relationship? What does this have to do with anything? And then,
Yeah.
finally we understood the correlation there, but it just took so long to make the connection.
Yeah. I caught on, or I knew it was some type of importance after, oh gosh, Diomedes, because he started at the beginning when Diomedes told him, "Don't fall in love with Alicia," and he
Hmm.
said, "Are you married?" And then Diomedes went into his little spiel about he did have a wife, but she wasn't perfect for him. And then all of a sudden, we went on this diatribe with his relationship with Kathy and how they met, and then she started cheating, and then so I'm like, it's got to be important, but I'm not sure what the importance of it. So, but yeah, it was long and drawn out. It could have been shorter,
Hmm.
way shorter. um yeah, we could have got to meet a little sooner.
I think so. I
Yeah,
would have liked more time of Alicia figuring out that she knew him already.
exactly. I was going to say the exact same thing. I think we spent way too much time on Theo and his wife. I mean, I get it, but I I would have liked, and I guess because she was silent,
Mm-hmm.
but I think her diary um, entries would have been more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think those would have been a little more interesting, but then I'm not sure how about, how the plot twist would have come about. But um, yeah, I really would have enjoyed more of her diary entries versus him following Kathy all over town with her lover.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. I
Mm-hmm.
think that kind of, sums it up because that's basically what he did. He followed them, he figured it out, but it was just like him just walking all over town, following them, hiding from them, reading her instant message. Okay, I think I missed not instant message. That was the story
Her
before, but
email, yeah.
her emails. And it was like, okay, all right.
See, this
She,
is why I
she,
couldn't get. I'm like, you, sir, Mr. Psychotherapist or whatever, you have all this knowledge. Your wife cheats on you. You find the evidence and you don't say anything. You just suffer in silence. I'm like, I don't understand why you're doing that.
Yeah. But you know what? That's the same with what is it? They say the shoemaker's children always never have good shoes. So it's always that person. You can
Mm-hmm.
give advice, but it's hard to accept it. And I think too the author went the story was now that it, the story was more about Theo and all his hangups than it really was about the silent patient.
I
Can
agree.
you agree with that? Okay.
I can.
Yeah, it was more about his hangups, and I won't say his hangups. He had the issues of his family, and his dad was an abuser, and all those things. So I really felt like at one point that it was more about Theo than it was about the silent patient. She just happened to come into play because of a cheating wife. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
Um, so in part two, this was broken down into what, 5 parts, I think, or was it? Let's see, part
yes,
one. Yeah, part five parts. In
yeah.
part two, Theo tries to treat Alicia by reducing her meds, and he's allowing her to paint and do all these different things. And I knew at that point, I'm like, oh, he's going to reduce her meds. I'm like, this can't go well. So that very first meeting, she like attacks him. And at first I'm like, what's wrong with this chick? Like, did she like forget how to speak? I mean, why? I thought like, is she like a child that can't talk? So she's just trying to fight somebody. I thought just, and then thinking, learning later why she reacted that way initially, I was like, okay, that made sense. But I mean,
Right. Well,
yeah,
like you said, I think you mentioned it was like a 2 or 3-year-old who can't communicate what they are feeling or what they need to say,
mm-hmm,
and they express themselves with anger because
yes.
she lit into him.
She did, and she
Yeah.
was trying to kill him.
Yes. And
She's
I'm like, and I know, and it didn't occur to me. I'm like, okay, so why is she
yeah.
trying to kill him? And I'm like, okay, maybe the meds are still, messing with her. Giving her some psychosis. I wasn't sure. So
Mhm.
that threw me off a little.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I think also in part 2, I think that was something interesting about that Greek story that kept coming up throughout that story, the whole
Yes.
book. I think that was first revealed in part 2, the Greek goddess who was sent to Hades um in place of her husband. So basically her husband said, "Hey, somebody go in my place, please." And the wife ended up being the one to take the bullet. She came back. Well, she was later saved, but never spoke again.
Right.
So that theme just keeps coming back again and again and again throughout the book. So I guess I kind of see how that ties in, but I do actually, because Alicia kept thinking, which is probably why she needs to be in therapy, but oh, my father killed me. So let's go back, guys. So we learned much later in the book that when her mother died in a car accident, the father blamed her and pretty much said, I wish you were dead instead. She overheard
Yeah.
this. And so she said, my father just killed me. That's what she said to her cousin or whoever that was with her. And she did it again. She had that feeling again when she was being held prisoner by
Right.
Gabriel. And he
Yeah.
was trying to push her to kind of realize that her husband doesn't give two shits about her. And he was going to
Right.
let him kill her. And so then again, my husband just killed me. So, yeah. So that
Yeah.
story really tells a lot about Alicia more than Theo, I think. But that's the
Hey, that
through line for
story.
me.
Yeah. That I can't remember the name of the story, but it was a hard name to pronounce as well. But yeah, that myth or mythology, it did explain a lot. But again, it took forever to get there because it was mentioned. Gosh, I think John Felix mentioned it. Yeah, the story was mentioned, several times between Diomedes, John Felix, Theo, and not John Felix, but Diomedes was a Greek man, so he basically explained the story probably in more detail to Theo than anyone else. So it was a little overkill, but in the end, like you described, it did help me to understand her reasoning for killing her husband and shooting him 5 times.
And not being funny, but I wouldn't need that reason to kill my husband if he did that to me. I'd be like, MFer, you were going to let that guy shoot me in the head.
Oh my God. Because I forget what Theo asked him. Well, I won't even say what Theo asked. She just kept saying, Alicia kept saying, Gabriel, I love you. Gabriel, do you love me? And he was quiet as a church mouse. And when Theo shot into the ceiling, he still had not said anything.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Yeah, so I think if I remember correctly, so Theo said something to him, like he kind of used that Greek myth. He said, look, it could either be you or her, because you ruined my life. You took away my relationship. So it could be this or that. What will it be? And then he really didn't say her. He never said verbally her, but his lack of speaking at all.
Right. For someone who claims to want to have a child with me,
yeah,
really cares about me, you said not one
word.
peep. I mean, not even honey.
No.
No.
And Alicia said he's lying. He's just going to kill us both. Like she even said that at some point.
Right.
If I got to beg my own husband to not let somebody kill me, I would have shot you too.
Or told Theo, dude,
take him out. I mean, hell, I didn't know he was cheating with your wife, obviously, because he wouldn't be here if I knew he was cheating.
Oh God.
Take him out.
Yeah, that now I must say that portion of the book was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That
the
part,
last 9% of the book.
Thank you. Yes. Amen. Because you text me, you were like 91%. I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Exactly. That part was like, it was great. Okay, I'm gonna say it was gratifying. I was like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
How many stories do we really have where that kind of ending is what you really kind of hope for, but a lot of authors won't do that. But I was like, bravo, Alicia. I mean, I know it's murder. I know it is.
It is.
But he didn't defend your honor, not one bit. Not even on his deathbed.
No. And then he started crying like a baby. Alicia, are you Alicia? He's yelling for her. I'm like, and she's just sitting there not saying a word. Gabriel, Theo's not saying a word. I'm like, this fool, now he feel guilty after he thinks she gets shot. I'm like, get out.
Yep.
I mean, from my point of view, this is like a fight for me or you kind of fight. And yes, it's murder, but if it's me or you, it's gonna be you.
I'm sorry.
I just can't.
I'm sorry. It's all about me now.
Right. Like, she tried to do and then the fact that he just would not believe anything she was saying, that was so frustrating. Yeah. Like, I believed her. I think that the author was trying to make us question her viability as a reliable narrator. Like, can we believe her? Right. But that whole time I felt like she was telling the truth. I'm like, why was she, after all this time, just make up some random person standing outside her house? Like, right. I didn't question that. Did you question that at all?
No, not at all. I did not question it. And then I knew that he was lying when he had her go to the therapist, and the therapist basically said, do what you have to do, or do what Gabriel wants, or the marriage is over. And that's when, because she said she wasn't going to take the pills and she wasn't going to do that. And he basically said, what's going to happen. And she agreed. And I was like, see, he's just setting her up. Then I knew that he, was lying, but I didn't know what he was lying about. But because I was like, because I think, didn't she have some money?
She had money from, because she's a successful painter. So she had money that all went to him, I think, if she died.
Right.
And all his money, because he was a fashion photographer, all of Gabriel's money would have went to his brother, Max. Because, yes.
Mm-hmm. So I wasn't sure, again, one of the red herrings, what was his purpose for trying to get her to take her meds and to create this unstable wife. So I was like, is it for money?
So he could cheat easier. I mean, if she's drugged up all the time, he can just do what he wants a lot easier.
Yeah, because it wasn't like he wanted to kill her. Mm-mm. No, so that we knew of. So, that was my other thing. Like, I wasn't sure what was his purpose for basically trying to put her in an unstable mindset. But, yeah. And again, those are some of the cohesive things that I thought didn't flow right. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I thought I saw as a plot hole, and it really just turned me off, when Theo went into the home, and that's when he saw her for the first time, and she said she needed a glass of water, and she went to the cabinet trying to look for the gun. Mm-hmm. And Theo said, the glasses are in the right cabinet or whatever. Mm-hmm. So my thought was, this mother know my house. So I'm like, she knows him. That's what I immediately thought of. And I'm like, who knows where people's water glasses are unless you've been in my house? So I'm like, oh, he knows her. But no, he doesn't know her. And then, and then the gun is gone. But we never hear that he took the gun prior to. You know what I mean? So I was just like, I scratched my head for a while. I think I, rewound for a little bit, and then I was like, forget it. It's not making sense. Forget it.
Yeah, I think we had to make some assumptions there. And I thought that same thing. I'm like, wait, was he in her house? He must have been in her house before, and they didn't share that, number one.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, for him to,
looking from outside. There was a time where she said somebody was in the house. There is a time. I do remember that.
Okay, now, because I don't.
Now that I say it out loud, I think she called her husband and said, somebody's in the house. Somebody's in the house.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
He said, I'm sick of this or something. Yeah, that is right. Okay, so now I get it. Okay. Yeah.
That's right.
Sorry, Michael, Ludi,
Oh,
Alex. I get it now. Okay.
I don't know. I just can't believe this doctor, quote unquote, or maybe, I mean, maybe he doesn't have an MD, but he's got other letters behind his name to be a psychotherapist.
Right.
Like, you're doing this crazy shit. You're breaking into people's houses. You're just stalking someone, and you're stalking the wrong damn person. Like, why are you stalking the woman and you're mad at the man? I don't
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah. But I don't. Yeah, he was stalking her. Yeah, he basically was trying to see. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, now that I think about it, why were you just standing outside her window looking at her? Were you thinking she's a big dummy? She doesn't know either that her husband is cheating on her, or I don't know. Because at one point I thought he was an admirer. We thought it was John. Oh, I thought it was John Felix at one
Yeah.
point. Max,
Yeah.
because Max was in love with her.
Mm-hmm.
John Felix, well, he was in love with what she could bring him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're right. He was.
Well, I think we all kind of thought it could have been Max, but when she confronted him and, kind of yelled at him about it, I believed him when he said, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, because he gave her a very dirty look. He
Yeah.
partner like slapped her hand off of him, like get the hell, you lost your
You
damn
crazy
mind.
lady.
Right, because I'm like, now that is very truthful for a man who just confessed his love for you,
Mm-hmm.
however many months ago, for him to act that way. Yeah, it wasn't him.
And I mean, just on, I guess, how I feel like people should treat marriages, I still have a problem with Theo. So not only is it creepy that you are following and stalking this other guy's wife, but honestly, the marriage is an agreement between you and your wife. Like, if I feel like if my husband cheated on me, I'm gonna be in his grill, not the girl's grill, because
Yeah,
we're the one that have the commitment, right? So why am I
right.
going to go stalk around some girl and try to? That's dumb to
Yeah,
me. I can't get past the fact that he wouldn't confront his own wife about her actions.
yeah. Well, because I agree. I totally agree because the other woman, I'm assuming, doesn't. Well, it's not her responsibility to know that you're married.
He has the responsibility.
It's your responsibility to let her know before it even gets any further, or you shouldn't even go that far.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what Michaelides, Alex, was trying to do with this story is to show the things we'll do for love. And I think the theme with Theo and how he was treated as a child and that he would never be successful and no one would love him, I think that kind of pushed him over the edge to kind of prove his father wrong. As we see as he goes back to Ruth, his therapist he had when he was younger, and she kind of let him know, which he did not take the advice, that
He
Kathy
didn't.
was not the one for you.
Yeah.
Regardless. But again, when you're trying to prove someone wrong, no matter what, if it's the right answer or not, you're going to do your best. And he went to the extreme. I mean, even after Gabriel was dead, he and his wife, the marriage it wasn't salvageable. The woman was a zombie.
Exactly. It was like, so you did all of that. You stayed with your wife. She never knew that you knew. She never knew that you knew. You carry on, and you guys turn into this horrible situation where, she's just eating her feelings, pretty much ignoring you. You're talking about how how grossed out you are by her, basically.
Yeah. And then subtle hints like, Alicia, she's well, I did like the little dig that he gave back to her when he mentioned that Alicia was on her death, that she was going to die, she was in the hospital, and he's like, don't you know who that is? And she's like, no. He's like, that's one of my patients, don't you listen to me? And I was like, ooh, somebody is throwing shade right back at her, because remember Kathy kept saying that he didn't pay attention to her. When she had her friend come from out of town, and she's like, "You don't know my friends. You went to her engagement party, and you don't listen." So he was basically giving her a taste of her own medicine. Even though she was in a more vulnerable state than he was. I mean, the woman lost her lover. I mean,
but
granted,
I don't think that there was a connection. And the reason why is this. Please tell me if I missed the connection. I feel like they went by different names. Like when I was going through the character list of names, like earlier on, like the two that were cheating, I feel like they called each other something else. Because in the character list, it said Marianne was Theo's girlfriend. Did Theo have a girlfriend? Is this like another part and I'm missing the connection?
Theo and Marianne.
Where's Marianne? And I'm like, well, who is that? And I'm like, I don't remember Marianne. I'm like, oh, that must have been one of the boring parts that was.
Wow.
I don't know.
Was that one of his first girlfriends?
Maybe. I don't know. Well, maybe. Maybe they did know. Or maybe they didn't know. I don't know.
Again, it could be one of those plot holes.
Yeah.
I didn't think.
I mean, and even if they...
You know what? He did have a girlfriend because that's how he and Kathy met. They came to the restaurant with different...
At dinner.
Yes, at dinner. She had a boyfriend and he had a girlfriend. Okay. And they met, they saw each other, their eyes connected, and that was it. I think Kathy was arguing with her boyfriend and went to the bathroom, and then Theo followed. Yeah. And that was, Yep.
Okay, well, that's where that is. So I guess maybe they did know. But you know what? Honestly, I know, like, I don't know firsthand, obviously, because I'm not a cheater. Let me just put that out there. I don't know firsthand, but I feel like people who cheat think that other married people are good choices because guess what? If you both have a secret, no one's trying to blow up someone else's life because y'all both have a secret.
You both have something to lose.
Right. So then if you just agree, we're just going to have fun and do whatever, then you guys have more, like, I guess it will stay that way instead of one of you catching feelings because you know, one is single and one is married.
Right. Right. Because nobody really has the upper hand in this situation because you're both at the same level. Mm-hmm. I never really thought Theo and Kathy were in love. I really think it was infatuation because, I mean, she was an actress who just, I saw him and I just knew it. And I think he went along with it. Yeah. Because he never never really knew love. And then he had this woman who was totally infatuated with him. So now he's, if you've never really had that kind of love from your parent, that familial or paternal love, the first full, real attention that you get, you're going to grasp onto it. And I think he said before he knew it, he told her, I loved her. And then I'm asking her to marry me. And that was it. I never really felt like they were in love. And before you know it, they're married and, they're starting, well, thank goodness no children were involved.
Well, I mean, for on either side, basically. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we could say the same thing about Alicia and Gabriel because, I mean, he talked to her like she was shit. Like,
take the pills. Let me see you swallow them. Good girl.
Right.
Girl, that part just burned my britches. I was like, I need you to look at me swallow some pills.
And then at some point she would just agree with him because it seemed like she didn't want the argument or she was fearful of what would happen if she pushed too hard and he didn't agree. I mean, I got those vibes where she must have been kind of scared of her husband at least at some level.
She did mention that she was afraid of him and that's why she didn't want the gun in the house because I think she feared that he would turn the gun on her if he ever got mad and that he did have a temper.
Why would you want to be with someone like that?
Yeah. Yep. So she did mention that. I
Yeah.
think she even mentioned that Max had a temper too. So, but I do remember her, stating he had a temper.
And I don't know
Okay.
what is wrong with Max. Like, I don't understand what is so great about Alicia as a person that Max would be trying to fall all over her as well. Like, I don't really get. It's like these TV shows where you have like one woman and all the boys in the town seem to be falling all over this one woman. And you're like, she is like the frumpiest, crazy looking girl ever. Like, why are y'all all, after this one girl? Or like the
Yeah.
typical YA book type of thing.
Yes.
I'm
And
like,
I
I
think
don't understand.
I I thought the same thing, and I think it was because they mentioned Max was adopted. Gabriel was the biological son, so he got the looks and the talent, and I think he was jealous of his brother. So he basically just wanted to covet whatever his brother had because, and I think he knew his brother was a jerk, and he's
Mm-hmm.
probably like, that one person that knew. I know Gabriel is cheating. You don't deserve him. I deserve. He didn't say that, but now that we speak this out loud, but he basically he said that to Theo that hey, he got the looks and the talent, and I got the brains. So looks and talent usually means the girl.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think.
I think they're both jerks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Max
Yeah.
is. Oh my God. And then he confesses his love for Alicia right in front of his. Did they ever get married, or was it just a fiance at the time?
I don't
The
know if they ever got
secretary.
married.
Yeah, I love her. I love her. What did you do to her? You were. So yeah, the more we talk about this, the more this story is just. I mean, life is stranger than fiction, but this is some of the things in this story is just like unreal.
Yeah. Like when Max finds out that she was in a coma, he's like you were saying, like attacking um Theo. Like, what did you do? I mean, and his girlfriend or fiance or whoever is standing there looking like, what is wrong with you?
Yes, I love her. I love her.
Right. Oh, I'm sure that relationship was over at that point.
Oh yeah, I would have left him right there.
Yeah. Like, well, you're gonna have to get a lift back because I'm out of here.
Yeah, but I think she did know that something was going on because she was the one who walked in on the argument that they had at the restaurant when she accused Max of stalking her. So she knew something was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she was probably just staying in the relationship. Well, no, you know what? She thought Alicia was stuck in the crazy home, so she probably never thought she would have to go through that. So she
Yeah.
probably thought, hey, I won the prize.
I guess whatever you need to believe, lady.
I know, whatever floats your boat, baby.
I
Neither
mean,
one of them was a prize.
all these characters are really not good people.
Yeah.
And I think that is one thing that was missing from my how should I say this? From what I was expecting from the book. I feel like I should have, I guess, kind of anticipated that this would have been more of a character study versus
Yeah.
a plot driven book.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of the problem because sometimes these character studies can just go so far out in left field before they get to the point. And I kind of feel like that is what was going on here. But in the end, when we heard the author interview at the end of this, he said something like someone gave him some advice that with a book, you can just go all willy-nilly basically into everything. And
Yeah.
apparently he took that verbatim and decided to go all into
Yeah, because
everything.
he's a movie guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
that's why
wrote.
I'm like, I thought he would have had a quick and peppy plot. And he's like, nope, that's for the movies, not for a book.
Yeah, that's
I'm
why I
like,
said,
dude,
please
maybe you
go
should
in.
have asked some readers.
Right? Exactly. Because it took us to 90% before we was like, oh, now I get it. Now I get, oh, okay. Now, we should have gotten, even though you said it started getting better at 50%, it still should have been a little sooner than that. I really
Yes.
think so.
Honestly, 25%. Things should have been moving at 25%. Not that we would have gotten every answer, but I should have felt vested to find out, oh no, what's going on? What's happening? And that
Right.
feeling was missing.
Yeah. And I think it was because of the way it started, that we started off with the murder, that he felt like he could drag it on a little bit because we already knew Alicia killed him and, you know, she killed her husband and blah, 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 and now she's silent. So I think he felt like, okay, they already know that. So now I have to give them all this background information. And he gave
Everything.
everything. He didn't leave out anything practically. I mean, we knew Theo's life, Kathy's life. Well, not Kathy's, but we knew everybody's life basically.
Mm-hmm.
The people in the darn ward, we knew about them. So yeah. I mean, it was kind of meh for me. But it's a buddy read, so I had to finish it.
Yeah, buddy. Okay. And I totally own the fact that I'm sure that I'm in the minority with feeling this way because tons of people loved it.
Well, yeah, they did. And the funny thing is this was a book that we vetted against for a vote between Dear Wife and Silent Patient.
Mm-hmm.
And Dear Wife won.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm wondering how many people read The Silent Patient.
Yes.
And said, try something else.
Yeah.
Everybody else that I know that has read this was like, oh, it's such a good book. You should read it. But, you know, I think I had mentioned to you too that we've read enough books in this genre that we know what to expect, what not to expect. We know when you're pulling our leg, you're dragging it out. And I just expected more from this. And it was just the same old. And it's like, if you're going to do this kind of plot, you're going to have to bring it, you know? I mean, we read, and I'm going to keep going back to it, A Stranger on the Beach, Dear Wife even, you know, they're very similar, the husband and the wife, and somebody dies and this and that, but they did something different with their story. And with this, I don't feel like he did anything, you know, just out of the ordinary that just stood out.
No.
It yeah.
And to me, I look at the piece of work as a whole. Like I look at the book as a whole, and I don't say something was good because the last 9% was great.
No.
And yes, I don't think that even though the ending might satisfy me, that's not enough to make up for the other 91% that I kind of was like waffling on.
Right. Not at all.
So
no, because it's a whole. It's just like saying that 1/4 of the pizza was good. It's a whole. You know, when they made the damn pizza, they made it all at once. And, you know, and all the ingredients make it a good pizza.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the spices and all that. And I don't think he did that well. This may be a good movie. Maybe I won't watch it though.
I wouldn't because I feel
like
they would pick some boring ass actors. And not being funny, I do think they would pick some boring ass people that are in obscure things that no one watches and that have won Sundance Awards or whatever. And no offense to that, but you know what I'm saying? It's not mainstream. And a lot of people won't watch it. Limited release type of movie.
Yeah. And I think too, like, they would probably focus on something totally different than, you know, some little scene that it was in the book, but they probably dragged that part out. And it's like, oh gosh, you guys chose this scene, really? So,
like I can see them actually making like Theo and Alicia have some type of relationship. Like, I could see them trying to do that with it. Like, they kept talking about Theo, don't fall in love with
Mm-hmm.
Alicia. And I
Yep.
mean, that wasn't what his problem was, but they kept saying it like that would be his problem. And I'm like, well, maybe they focus on that.
Yeah, I agree. I thought they were going to have a relationship at one point, especially when she started describing, gosh, come on, how she killed her husband.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, they're going to have a relationship.
Oh my gosh.
But it didn't happen, which was okay with me.
Yeah, I was fine with it.
Yeah. But again, after reading so many other books in this genre with the same kind of plot, and you compare, we're not new to this. I hate to say that. Maybe to a new person reading this, they would, you know what I mean? Someone new to thrillers and mysteries, they would probably love this.
Yeah.
But
or someone who only, reads a couple books a year, so they just don't have a lot of things to compare. Because honestly, like, I hate to even throw this book in there, but I'm going to do it because this is how I felt like about 50 Shades. Everyone loved that damn book. Everybody under the sun, that's the best book ever. Well, readers didn't love it, but people who rarely read that picked up a little spicy book fell all over themselves for it. But people like who read books on the regular weren't about it. It was bad.
Yeah. I did not like the book. I had a few friends and family members who will remain anonymous. Oh, it's so spicy. Oh, it's so, and I'm like, really, Anastasia? I want to choke her. I just want to choke her. Either for you to be a virgin, I have a hard time believing, and not to put anything down on a virgin, but I felt like, I won't even go there because I could be saying something politically incorrect.
I know, I get
it. Anyway.
But that's how I felt about this book.
If you're going to get on it, if you're going to get on the D, get on the D.
But that's how I felt about this book. Like, I feel like the potential was there. And maybe this could be groundbreaking and so amazing and thrilling and shocking to people that haven't read a lot of these, like us. But I mean, these words they're using, literally, this is from Audible. The Silent Patient is a shocking psychological thriller. A woman's act of violence against her husband.
Oh,
and
gosh,
a therapist obsessed with uncovering her motive. Like,
well, yeah, because they have to sell it.
Yes, but all those selling words, like, and I don't know, like, even in the author interview, she was saying things like, so exciting, so many red herrings, so many this. I said, there were that many? I didn't know there were that many.
No, there were a few, and they didn't really throw me off. Like I said, the only thing that threw me off was probably John, Felix, and Max. I thought they were the ones stalking her. Other than that, there weren't too many red herrings. But you got to get your sales up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do one more thing. Before we rate it, we are going to take a quick break. When we return, we are going to talk about the audiobook narrators. We're going to give our rating. And then, last but not least, we are going to do our adaptation fantasy cast. Stay with us.
Yay.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Shelf Addiction merch store. Check out all the bookish t-shirts, notebooks, mugs, and more. Don't miss out on these original designs, perfect for any book nerd. Support the podcast and visit shelfaddiction.com/merch and pick up your next favorite bookish item. Okay, so let's talk about the audiobook people, the narrators. It was Jack Hawkins and Louise Braille. I believe that's how it's pronounced.
Okay.
I have no problems with the narrators. How about you?
Nope, I had none. Alicia, who is it? Louise? She is the same person who did Girl on the Train. So I'm like walking the dog and I'm listening to this voice and I'm like, why does she sound so familiar? And I believe she is. She's the same woman who did the voice or who narrated the Girl on the Train, which I did love her voice. They had good intonation, feelings. I think they did well with, um, well, the male guy didn't have that many Alicia voices. They did some Kathy. I think they did a good job.
Yeah.
Nothing was squeaky or too pitchy or anything for me. I enjoyed them.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I had no complaints, and I feel like if I saw their names pop up on other audiobooks, I would be happy to listen.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well, that's nice and refreshing because
Yeah,
one thing I don't have to complain about.
right. Because the last book, I was like, that man's voice. That falsetto was bad. But yeah, I enjoyed them.
Okay, great. So let's rate the thing. Let's rate it. I'll let you go first, Classy.
Okay, I gave it a 3. It wasn't horrible. It was like I liked it, but yeah, I gave it a 3. Since we can't, a 3.
Yeah. I also gave it a 3, but I was at a 2. I was at a 2. And the one thing that scraped it by enough to give me one more star was the end of that book.
Yep.
But wholeheartedly up into 91%, I was like, this is a 2.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I'll give you one extra point for that exciting ending.
Yeah, because it was a snooze fest, man. And I felt like, well, we already talked about it. She was silent. They were in an asylum or whatever home, but gee whiz.
Girl, right.
No excitement.
No, I mean, she didn't even have any real crazy or scary interactions with the inmates, really. I said inmates. But
you're right, except for taking out Homegirl's eye.
Which was insane. But, we didn't even, I don't know. It could have been so much more.
Yeah, it could have.
That's all. Okay, so let's do our fantasy cast. I think we can probably go through this pretty quickly. I did something real unique with my picks, and the reason why I decided to make this movie version very diverse on purpose, because I felt like there weren't very strong descriptions for these characters other than their personality.
Yeah, I agree. They were a blur. After reading the book, I was trying to, because we try and figure out our cast, and I was just like, all I know is Alicia had red hair, basically. Mm-hmm. And I think Gabriel, someone had dark hair. That was it. Everything else was just, like you said, you could pick anybody you want.
Yep.
Let's go there, lady.
Let's go. Okay, so let's start with Alicia. Okay, my Alicia could have red highlights.
I like your Alicia.
I think she'll be awesome. And I picked Kerry Washington. You guys know her from Scandal. She is the bomb.com. I can see her doing this.
Yeah. I was jealous when I saw that. I was like, oh, she did that. Okay, all right. I knew you said you were going to mix it up. And I was like, okay. I like that.
Thank you.
I like it. I do. My Alicia is Dakota Johnson, who starred in 50
Shades. I was like, oh, she picked her.
I did, because I just saw her as being that, oh, Gabriel, I love you, Gabriel. I love you. Mm-hmm. That's what I saw.
Being a weak person, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah, but I like yours better.
Oh, thank you.
I like Carrie, and Carrie is very versatile.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Okay, so
to be honest, I like your plot. I like your cast, but we'll go on.
Yay! Okay, we'll continue. So instead of doing the next who I think will be the biggest character, let's do the husband. So her husband is Gabriel. Who did you pick for Gabriel?
I picked Oscar Isaacs from Star Wars. I can't remember who he was from Star Wars, but I thought he was good looking, because they said he was a handsome guy who had the looks and the talents of a fashion photographer. I could see him with the models, and so yeah, I thought Oscar Isaac was pretty good.
I do recognize him, but honestly, when I saw the name, I'm like, who the heck is that? And I don't really watch Star Wars, so I'm like, I feel like he must have been in something else I watched at some point along the way.
Yeah, I wrote it down. Something else he starred in, but he's is he Guatemalan? I think he did more foreign movies than he's done American. But don't get me. Please correct me if I'm wrong because I am not a big television movie person. So I know some. So, but yeah,
Okay.
like I said, it was kind of like, ugh. But then I look at your cast and I'm like, okay.
So I decided to make Alicia's husband, Gabriel, also an African American actor. And I picked fine ass Michael Ealy.
I see, and Michael Ealy always plays good crazy roles. So
He
I'm
does
surprised.
play crazy.
Man, he plays crazy well.
Mm-hmm.
But
He
yes,
does.
he does. Like, what was it? Falling? Is that what was the one he was in with? Remember on Fox, the guy with the cult leader guy, and they were. Is it Falling?
Oh
Or
yeah. The Following.
The Following. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Woo, girl, I got chills watching Michael, but I was watching every episode.
Girl, you know.
Yes, he played crazy. And he played crazy in a couple of movies too. So yeah, you picked um a good pick. I'll give
Yes.
you that one.
Okay, so let's flip over and talk about Theo, who I think is probably the second biggest character in this book, if not the biggest character.
Okay.
So who did you pick for Theo?
I picked Lakeith Stanfield, who I totally adore. And I was trying to mix it up too because I felt like with Theo, he mentioned when Kathy was having the affair that she had mentioned that she only liked men his color, his with the dark hair and his looks. And so I was going like, the total opposite, with Gabriel being a white man and him being a black man. But Lakeith is known from recently Knives Out, which I saw a couple weeks ago, which is a great movie. And he's from Get Out, and
Yeah.
he is in the new movie with Adam Sandler, which
Okay.
is
Which I
whatever that
probably
movie.
won't be seeing. I can't wrap my mind around that serious movie with Adam Sandler.
Oh, they said he does a great job in that movie, but I haven't seen it yet. Uncut Gems, but yeah, like
Yeah.
I think he's such a expressive actor. And when I saw him in Knives Out, with being that detective and his facial expressions, I could just see him like interviewing Alicia. So that's who. Now he is probably the one I did see.
I do like him, and I would like him as a pick if I hadn't made the other cast African American.
Yeah.
So because I went with the familial bonds between Alicia, Gabriel, and Max as African American, I went with Theo as Matt Dillon. And I just think of him like the things I've seen. I feel like he could be serious. He could play, a psychotherapist. I feel like he could also be crazy, tying people up and threaten them with a gun. I could see that actor doing all those crazy things and selling me on it.
Yeah. And the picture you have him in that sweater, definitely. He can play that, like that therapist, but I'm also stalking you. You would never think I'm stalking you, but I'm stalking you.
Yeah, I'm totally innocent. Just look at me.
Yeah. Always loved him. Always loved Matt. So yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so let's flip.
Lakeith won
that one. He did. Okay. So let's flip over and talk about Theo's wife, which is Kathy. So who did you pick for Kathy?
Phoebe, blah, blah, blah. Something is so small and my eyes are.
Waller-Bridge.
Thank you.
Yep.
From Fleabag. She's from Fleabag. I think she even starred in, there was another like Star Wars spinoff, which I don't really watch Star Wars, but yeah, she's from Fleabag. And it's something else. I can't remember what else now. But I saw her face. I saw her being a little dramatic with Theo when it came time for her to go places. So I thought she was a good pick. Again, didn't Lakeith and maybe my other pick is probably the only two people that I really saw when it came time for characters.
Well, I picked someone who I thought, because Kathy was a actress, right? That's where she was playing. She was going to acting and all this stuff. So I picked someone that I thought would look like an actress with acting aspirations and someone who would hook up with a fine ass photographer. So I said, who would do that? I think someone that looked like Scarlett Johansson would do that.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't pick like a frumpy person for an actress, right? With a photographer.
Okay.
With a fashion photographer.
Yeah, okay. All right.
That's why I picked Pretty Scarlett Johansson. But plus, I think, she's not a main character in this book, but she's around. So, she might be able to fit in her schedule.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Okay, so next up is Max, who is Gabriel's brother and the douchebag that also represented Alicia. He's an attorney, and he also liked her a lot.
I like how you said douchebag, and now I see your character. So yeah.
See?
I like that segue there.
Yes. Okay. So since you had that segue, I will tell you who mine is. And I picked Terrence Howard. Every time he is in a movie, he is like the worst.com kind of person.
He is the scum of the earth.
Yes.
Always.
He always plays that character.
Yeah, he does.
And he's so good at it. It kind of makes me wonder what he's like in real life because he's good at playing awful people.
He was an abusive husband.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think he's had a couple of abuse cases against him with some wives.
Oh,
and
snap.
So here's the one thing I said I wanted to question you about, because Max and Theo are adopted brothers. And like when I looked at your pictures, I'm like, they look like they could be real brothers. They
do look like it. And actually it's funny because I had someone else in that slot that looked very different from Michael Ealy, but then I changed it. I had Mekhi Phifer in that spot. Do you know him?
I do. And I take Ealy over.
They are night and day. Yeah. But I do feel like these actors can work this better than that combination.
Yeah, Mekhi is a little harder.
Yes.
He has some hard edges.
Yeah.
Which is, not to say he couldn't do the role, but I do see him playing more of
I can't see him as an attorney or a fashion photographer. So
yep.
I gave that up and instead went with these.
Okay. So my Max is Mark Shepard, and he's known, I know him, I don't know about the audience, but he has played in Leverage, Burn Notice, and he always kind of played that shady character in most of the shows that I've watched. And he's not the most handsome guy. He's not the brightest, or the prettiest crayon in the box. So I saw him as being a total opposite of his adopted brother, Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I like your pick. It's nice. Honestly, it could fit in my slot too. You could.
Yeah.
They're adopted.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so the last character we have for the cast is John Felix, who is the owner of the, what do you call that place? What do you call the place with the paintings? The gallery. Thank you, Lord. Brain fart. Of the art gallery. And he was kind of obsessed with Alicia's paintings and I guess the money she could make him.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like he was kind of flary a little bit.
Yeah.
He could have had some of those tones. And I felt like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt could pull it off.
Yeah, I like Joseph.
I like him.
Yeah, I do like Joseph. And yeah, I could see him being a little obsessive and, come on, honey, let's go have a drink with me and this and that, a little pushy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I remember him saying to not trust the people around her. So,
He
yeah.
did.
But yeah, he did. And that, yeah, so I do like John.
Mm-hmm.
My pick for John Felix is Rami Malek, who
He's good too.
Yeah, like I said, this was my other actor who I immediately thought of. Like you were saying, we didn't have any physical descriptions, but we did know personality. And after watching Bohemian Rhapsody and some Mr. Robot, Rami is another great character actor who could do anything with makeup and I just feel like he's such a great actor. So I could see him giving Theo the flux, and trying to get Alicia to have dinner with him and do more work and all that. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Good picks. I think you have some solid picks.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I'll say I have at least 2 solid picks. I'll give you the rest.
Yes.
Yes, I will. I really will. This was just like So yeah, I'll give you the rest.
This is the one where the casting people have complete license to do what they want to do, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully, if they do make this into a movie, that they will pick some actresses and actors like this and not, like you said, some unknowns.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we are done, guys. Do let us know what you thought of The Silent Patient. If you are listening in the Facebook group with us right now, let us know what you rated it. Share all the things with us. You can find us in the Facebook group.
Yeah, because apparently a lot of people have read this book, so we know someone out there who's listening has at least read this book.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and take care. And until next time, happy reading. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.